Welcome to FICO Academy online classes. Hi students, I am Narayana Prakash. I come from Kundangulam, nearest place of Katagambal. At present, I am working in two colleges, Kairali Vidyapeetham, it is in North Bus Stand, and another one, Pratibha College, Puniyurpala. Welcome to FICO Academy online classes. Today, I can give you only the introduction of grammar. Today, I shall give you the introduction about our grammar. You know, grammar is a necessary subject, and if you want to pass any examination, especially PSC examination, especially all the examinations, you want to study this grammar. And basically, you want to learn something about the structure of a sentence. Today, I like to take the 4 kinds of sentences. And before studying these 4 kinds of sentences, you want to learn something about the pattern of sentence. And we can give a definition about a sentence. Sentence is a group of words which will give you meaning. For example, in all the grammar classes, the teachers will use one simple sentence. Rama killed a snake. This same sentence will be commonly used by both in Malayalam classes, English classes, or any classes, while they teach grammar, they will use this sentence. Rama killed a snake. And you just analyze this sentence, Rama killed a snake. Simple sentence it is. And all these words give you proper meanings. Rama, when you say the sentence Rama killed a snake, Rama, you will get one meaning, and killed, that is the action of the subject Rama, and a snake, that is the object. And to get sense in a sentence, we have to connect all the words together by using the grammar. Grammar is certain rules and regulation of our language. And while we use this grammar, what we say, we want to learn, we want to understand, or we should have good awareness about the technique. And come to the point, first I told you the definition about sentence. Sentence is a group of words and which will give you meaning. And you analyze, Rama killed a snake. Okay, listen please. Rama killed a snake. And when you write a sentence or when you talk a sentence, subject is the most important one. I mean, you want to use subject first and followed by the predicate side. After the subject, the second portion of the sentence is called a predicate. After the subject, the second portion of the sentence is called a predicate. And to say something about the subject, subject is the most important one in our communication. While you talk any sentence or while you write any sentence, you need to use subject first. And the following section of the sentence is highly dependent on the subject. And there are 2 types of subjects in English. And some teachers, they will say that, 3 divisions, first person, second person, and third person. And it will make more confusion. So I like to divide the subject section only into 2. Okay, come to the point. Subject section. They are singular and plural. You can divide the subject into 2. They are singular and plural. And what is the difference between a singular subject and a plural subject? If the action is done by only one person, it is called singular, and if the action is done by more than one person, it is called plural. My students, I shall explain the subject section, and I already told you subject is the most important one while you write a sentence or while you talk a sentence. So, grammatically speaking, subject has got two division. I mean singular subject and plural subject. So, what is the difference between the two? I mean, if the action is done by only one person, it is called a singular, and if the action is done by more than one person, it is called a plural. You know, you will have lot of examples to say. You know, for singular subject, I can say that he, she, etc. You know, girl, boy. You know, you can say many examples for the singular subject. And for plural subject, you know, you can say, you know, girls, boys, etc. You know, women, woman is singular. W-O-M-A-N, woman is singular, whereas women is plural. You know, the pronunciation is different. W-O-M-A-N, woman is singular, and women, W-M-E-N, women is plural. And there are two subjects. Again, there are two subjects which will make you some confusion. The subjects like I and you. I and you, they are plural subjects. You know, I, you just say the subject I, there is only one person. But in English grammar, it is treated as plural. And similarly, you know, you can mention you only one person. But grammatically, you also treated as plural. So, I told you about the difference between singular subject and plural subject. And next portion, you know, after the subject, the next portion is called a predicate. And here in this sentence, Rama killed a snake. Here, killed a snake is the predicate section. You know, it has got a definition. What said about the subject is called a predicate. What said about the subject is called a predicate. You know, you can say lot of example. They are studying. They are playing football. Numerous examples are there. And you know, you want to understand the first portion, only the first portion of a statement or a sentence is called a subject, and the remaining portion, after the subject, the remaining portion of the sentence is called a predicate. Okay, I shall tell you some other example. He plays. Two words are here, only two words, he plays. And you just analyze it. He is the subject and plays is the predicate. And I shall give you another example. He plays football. He plays football. And what is the difference between these two sentences? The first sentence, he plays, and he is the subject and plays is the predicate. And in the second sentence, he plays football. He plays football. Plays is the predicate. Plays football, that is the predicate. So, what is the difference between the first sentence and the second sentence? And in the first sentence, you know, we used only the verb. Plays is the verb, and in the second sentence, you know, plays is the verb, but here we have one object. We have one object in the second sentence. So, what you understand from it? A sentence will have surely one verb, and sometimes, you know, it may have an object also. Do you understand? A sentence will have surely one verb, or it may have an object also. You can understand from this. He plays, and plays is the verb, and plays football. Here plays football is the predicate, but plays is the verb and football is the object. And I come to say another important point here. What is the difference between a Malayalam sentence and English sentence? You want to understand, because we are Malayalis, all our thoughts are coming in Malayalam in our brain. And while you write your examination, what is happening? All your ideas are coming in your mind in Malayalam. And you will translate that Malayalam ideas into English. You want to use one technique there. I mean, in English, we use the pattern of a subject, verb and object. In English, we use the pattern of a subject, verb and object. After the subject, you want to use verb, and after that, you want to use the object. Whereas in Malayalam, we use the pattern of a SOV, that is a subject, object and verb. Subject, object and verb. For example, he plays football, and what shall you say in Malayalam? Avan football kalikkunnu. Avan football kalikkunnu. You will say in Malayalam. So you will use a SOV pattern while you use the sentences in Malayalam. Whereas in English, what will you use? You will use subject, verb, object. This is only the skeleton of the ideas which I am going to teach today. I told you all these things only to make you understand about the language structure. We use subject, verb and object pattern in our English. And we can go to the next topic. Next topic it is kinds of sentences. Kinds of sentences. Now, we already learned the pattern of a sentence. We already learned the pattern of a sentence, subject, verb and object. That is the pattern. Subject, verb and object. That is the pattern of writing an English sentence. And now we are going to study kinds of sentences. That is the topic which we want to discuss today, kinds of sentences. Listen, my friends, there are 4 kinds of sentences in English. 4 kinds of sentences in English. The first one is assertive sentences. Assertive sentences. And it has got another name, one more name, that is declarative sentences. Assertive sentences or declarative sentences, the first one. What is an assertive sentence? An assertive sentence means any simple sentence can be called assertive sentence. Any simple sentence. For example, she is a doctor. She is a doctor. They are students. He is an engineer. Any simple common sentences can be called as assertive sentences. I shall write 1 or 2 examples for you. She is a doctor. And one more example, I am an engineer. You can write innumerable number of sentences like this. Simple sentence, what is meant by simple sentence? I told you any simple sentence can be called assertive or declarative sentence. And what is meant by simple sentence? Simple sentence means a sentence which contained one subject and one predicate. A sentence which contained one subject and one predicate, that can be called as a simple sentence. There are several kinds of sentences. You will be confused. Simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence, compound, complex. There are numberless varieties. And you don't need to go to that side. Just study, simple sentence. Simple sentence means a sentence which contained one subject and one predicate. Only one subject and one predicate. You just analyze here. Analyze this sentence. She is a doctor, and here she is a subject and is a doctor, that is the predicate side. And I am an engineer, I is the subject, am an engineer, that is the predicate side. And a few minutes before I told you he plays football. He plays football, and in that he is the subject, plays football, that is the predicate side. I mean a sentence which has one subject and one predicate, that is called a assertive sentence. I hope you understood it. And the second one, listen, there is one more. This assertive sentence can be classified into two. It has got two division. Do you know that? It has got two division. One is affirmative sentence. Affirmative sentence. And the second one is a negative sentence. Affirmative sentence, and second one is called a negative sentence. My students, I told you about assertive sentences, and which has got two divisions. The first division is called affirmative, and the second division is called negative. And this is very simple to understand. This affirmative sentence has another name. Do you know that? It has another name, that is positive sentence. This affirmative sentence has another name, that is positive sentence. What is meant by a positive sentence and a negative sentence? You can easily understand. You just look at the first sentence, she is a doctor. This sentence is positive. She is a doctor. And here, because there is the word not used in it. And if you used not in any sentence, that sentence is called as negative. If you used the word not in any sentence, that sentence will be considered as negative. And here she is a doctor. What kind of sentence it is? It is positive, because we have not used not in it. And the second sentence is also positive. I am an engineer, because there is the word not in it. And negative. What is negative? Negative means if you used the word not in any sentence, that is called a negative sentence. So you can easily say that she is not a doctor, she is not a teacher, I am not an engineer. So what I did, I used not along with the auxiliary verb. And you want to understand something more here. In English, we use several kinds of auxiliary verbs. They are called auxiliary verb, supporting verb, assisting verb, helping verb, etc., etc. So the main function of the auxiliary verb is that it gives necessary assistance, it gives a necessary help to the main verb of the sentence. Do you know how many auxiliary verbs in our English? Several auxiliary verbs. And after this introduction class, we shall take this tense, the next topic. And that time you can familiar with, you can understand several kinds of auxiliary verbs we use in our English. And I shall tell you some of the auxiliary verbs: do, does, did, is, am, are, was, were, has, have, had, will, would, shall, should, can, could, may, might, dare, need, used to. All these are called auxiliary verb in our English. Okay, come to the point. So what I am trying to say that while you write a negative sentence, you have to use not along with the proper auxiliary verb. While you make a positive sentence into negative, you have to use not along with the proper auxiliary verb. You can't say any sentence without using an auxiliary verb. For example, you just look at the first sentence, she is a doctor, and you can't say that she not a doctor. She not a doctor. You can understand the meaning, but grammatically it is a mistake. You have to say she is not a doctor. So what I am trying to say that not should be used along with the proper auxiliary verb. Not should be used with along with the proper auxiliary verb. She is not a doctor. Don't say she not a doctor. And similarly, I am an engineer. I am an engineer. Who are you? I am an engineer. So the negative of this sentence is that I am not an engineer. Don't say I not an engineer. You understand? So there are two types of sentences which comes in assertive sentences. One is affirmative and the other is negative. And there are some other words which will give a negative effect in our English. We don't need to use not all the time. There are some other words like hardly, scarcely, rarely, seldom, little, few, anything, nothing, etc. Listen, my friends, there are several words in English which will give you the same meaning of the word not. Hardly. In one sentence you noticed the word hardly, and another word scarcely, rarely, seldom, little, few, anything, nothing, etc. All these words will give you negative effect in a sentence. Don't forget that. Perhaps you may notice these type of words in some sentences, and all these words hardly, scarcely, rarely, seldom, little, few, anything, nothing, etc. They will give you negative meaning. But this word little, a little, and a few, they are positive sentences. Remember that a little and a few, these two words will give you positive meaning. For example, there is little water in the glass. There is little water in the glass. You will be confused. There is little water in the glass. That means there is no water in the glass. The sentence is negative. But if you use there is a little water in the glass, a little water in the glass, the sentence is positive. You will get the positive effect if you use the words a little. So don't forget, little, few, they will give you negative meaning, whereas if you use a little and a few, which will give you this positive meaning. And we can go to the second division. What is the second division? The second division is imperative sentences. Imperative sentences. This is the second division. You can use imperative sentences in English to express command, request, prayer, etc. Every sentence will have certain aim. Actually, we use these words, these sentences, to communicate our ideas. We are human beings and we have to communicate our feelings and emotions to the people. So, whatever we are speaking, it should be properly connected with the rules and regulation of grammar. And first I told you this assertive sentence, any simple sentence, a sentence which has one subject and one predicate, that can be called assertive. And the second one, imperative sentence. So what is the function of imperative sentence in English? You know, they express command, request, prayer, etc. Only three purposes. By using these imperative sentences, you can express command, request, prayer, etc. And I shall give you an example. Open the door. Open the door. A simple sentence it is. Open the door. Open the door, you know, a simple sentence. You know, just analyze this sentence. And here, open is the verb and the door is the object. Open is the verb and the door is the object. And I already told you, while we write a sentence in English, we need the subject first. Do you understand? While we write any sentence, first we want to use the subject. But here in this sentence, open is the verb and the door is the object. There is no any subject. There is no any subject in the given sentence. So what happened here? Here subject is invisible. Subject is already here, but it is not mentioned. Subject is already here, but it is not mentioned. You know which is the subject? You is the subject. You is the subject. Why I didn't use you here? Because you know I told this sentence while the same person is standing before me. You open the door. I don't need to say, you know, that person is standing before me. So I say, open the door. Open the door. That very fellow is standing before me. Open the door. That means you open the door. You open the door. It is a command. You know, you can use only three ideas in imperative sentences which expresses command, request, prayer, etc. Open the door. It is what? You know, an order. Open the door. A command. Open the door. And here you is the subject, but it is not mentioned. And sometimes we have to use you. Generally or usually we don't need to mention the subject you in any imperative sentences. But in some cases we have to use it. For example, you know, you just imagine there are several students sitting in my class. More students are here, at least 50 students are here. And you know, I want to mention one student from this group. You know, I will say, you read the textbook. You read the textbook. And you write this. You write this problem. So what I did, I specially mentioned one student in the class. And if you want to specially mention one person, you need to use you in imperative sentence. You understand? You know, these things will come, this reporter speech. That's why I tell you all these things. We want to study reporter speech. Okay, see, I shall tell you briefly. Imperative sentences, we use it to express command, request, prayer, etc. And you know, I told you one example, open the door, and here open is the verb and the door is the object, and there is no any subject. We don't need to mention or we don't need to use the subject, and actually the subject is clear. You is the subject of imperative sentence. Okay, and see, I shall give you one negative expression. Don't make noise. Don't make noise. It is a negative sentence. Don't make noise. What does it mean? You don't make noise. You know, you already standing here. You stand before me. So I don't need to mention you here. Don't make noise. It means you don't make noise. here the subject you is here, but I didn't mention it. Okay, this is the second one, imperative. And the third one, the third division, interrogative sentences. Interrogative sentences. The third one. And what is meant by interrogative sentences? Interrogative sentence, interrogation, what does it mean? Interrogation means the question. The police interrogated the convicts. Interrogated means the question. I mean, any kind of question sentences can be called as interrogative sentences. And it has two divisions. These interrogative sentences have two divisions. One is yes or no questions, and the second one is WH questions. And there are two types of questions which come in interrogative sentences. One is yes or no question and the other is WH question. And what is the difference between the two? In yes or no question, if you ask a yes or no question, you will get the answer either yes or no. You will never get any answer in detail. You just ask a question, yes or no question. You will get the answer either yes or no. You will never get the answer in detail. And for example, yes or no question. Just a minute. Okay. Yes or no question, and I shall explain the WH question also, then you can see. This yes or no question which has what we say a formula. The formula is auxiliary verb plus subject plus main verb plus the remaining portion of the sentence, and finally you have to put a question mark. That is the formula of a yes or no question. Actually you don't need to study the formula and you will learn everything. You can do it yourself. And if you don't want to make any mistake further, I just told you about this formula. Auxiliary verb plus subject plus main verb plus the remaining portion of the sentence, and finally you want to put a question mark. Okay, I shall give you one example. Do you want tea? Do you want tea? And you just analyze this yes or no question. Do you want tea? Here do is the auxiliary verb and you is the subject, want is the main verb, and the remaining portion of the sentence here, that is tea. And if you strictly go through this pattern, you will never make any mistake while you write a sentence. Okay, you should remember, while you write a yes or no question, you want to use auxiliary verb first, followed by subject, then main verb and the remaining portion of the sentence. And I gave you one example here. And remember, my students, it is only an introduction. Remember that. I am not giving you any further details, and when we come to other classes, tenses, something like that, I shall give you more information, and I tell you, you can do everything yourself. Okay. And the next one, second one, WH questions. What is the WH question? the questions which commences with the question words like which, where, what, whose, when, etc. You are familiar with such kinds of questions. And why do we use WH questions in our English? Do you know that? Why do we use these WH questions? If you want to get any answer in detail, you need to use this WH question. And here it has a formula. It has a formula here like this: question word plus auxiliary verb. I write only AV here, which means for auxiliary verb, plus subject plus main verb, remaining portion of the sentence, and finally you can put the question mark. Okay, you just look at these two formulas. What difference you see? In the yes or no question, there is no any question word. We start that question by auxiliary verb. First we use auxiliary verb, subject, main verb, etc. And in the WH question, what happened? We used question word first and auxiliary verb second, then subject, main verb. And I shall give you one example. You can easily understand. When will the exam start? When will the exam start? When will, a student asked the teacher, when will the exam start? When will the exam start? So you just analyze here, when is the question word, will is the auxiliary verb, the exam is the subject, start is the main verb. And again I tell you that you don't need to study this formula. You don't need to by heart it. Okay, you will learn everything quickly. I shall briefly explain interrogative sentences. Interrogative sentences means question sentences. And it has got two division. They are yes or no question and the other is WH question. Yes or no question means, why do you ask yes or no question? You will get only the answer yes or no. You will never get anything in detail. And if you want to get the detailed answer, you want to ask WH question. Then you need to use the formula also. Okay. And the last one, the fourth one, exclamatory sentences. Exclamatory sentences. What are exclamatory sentences? When you can use it? In which context you can use exclamatory sentences? Exclamatory sentences which when you have a strong feeling or emotion, you can use these exclamatory sentences. Suppose you saw a beautiful scenery. So what you will say? What a beautiful scenery. What a beautiful scenery. You will say that. And similarly, you saw a beautiful girl. And what will you say? What a beautiful girl she is. What a beautiful girl she is. Or what a performance. What a performance. So exclamatory sentence means, what is exclamatory sentence? It is used to express, sudden emotion or feelings of the speaker. It expresses, it is a spontaneous expression. A spontaneous expression. It expresses sudden emotions or feelings of the speaker. And I shall give you one example. I already told you, I shall write it on the board. What a beautiful scenery. And finally, you have to use the exclamation mark. This is the exclamation mark. What a beautiful scenery. What a beautiful scenery. And another one, what a performance, what a performance. Here also you want to use the exclamation mark. And generally, you know, all the exclamatory sentences will start with the expression of what or how. And don't be confused, when you see what at the beginning of a sentence, you may think that it is a question sentence. No, it is not a question sentence. And in the exclamatory sentence, finally you can see this exclamation mark. And you know, I'll tell you, you can convert this exclamatory sentence into assertive sentence. You can convert, or you can change this same exclamatory sentence into assertive sentence. You know what is assertive sentence? I told you at the beginning of the class. Assertive sentence means any simple sentence. What is simple sentence? A sentence which has one subject and one predicate. A sentence which has one subject and one predicate. You know, that is called assertive sentence. Okay, what a beautiful scenery. How can you make this sentence into assertive? You can easily say that it is a beautiful scenery. It is a beautiful scenery. It is a beautiful scenery. I mean, in order to make an exclamatory sentence into assertive, you need to use it, especially if there is no any subject in the sentence. You know, sometimes there may not be any subject in the sentence, and in that context you can use it. So you can say it is a beautiful scenery. And another example, what a performance. What a performance. You can say it is a good performance. It is a good performance. And you know, and if you used good here, no problem at all. It is a good performance. You can say that. And you know, some sentence will have the subject. For example, what a beautiful girl she is. What a beautiful girl she is. Here, you just read this sentence, what a beautiful girl she is. And here, you know, the subject is already given here. The subject is already given here in this subject, in this sentence. You know what is the subject? She is the subject. So you can say, you can write, she is a very beautiful girl. So what do you understand from it? And I shall tell you once more, I shall explain. We can use exclamatory sentences to express sudden emotions or feelings. And generally these kinds of sentences will start with the words like how, what, etc. And you need to use this exclamation mark at the end of the sentence. I told you these examples. And you can convert these type of sentences into assertive sentence. And that moment, if there is no any subject in the sentence, you can use it as a subject. You know, in some sentences there may not be any subject, and that moment you can use it as a subject. For example, you know, what a beautiful scenery, there is no any proper subject. And next one, what a performance, there is no any proper subject. So what we did, you can use it. You can use it as a subject. So it is a beautiful scenery, it is a good performance. And sometimes, you know, already the subject may be there. The subject may be there already. So that moment you can use that subject. What a beautiful girl she is. Here the subject is here. Which is the subject? She is the subject. So you can write, she is a very beautiful girl. Okay, today you know, I explained first I explained sentence. Sentence is a group of words which gives you the sense, which conveys you the sense, meaning. And a sentence will have two things. One is subject and the other is predicate. and the predicate will have a verb and object. And I told you the difference between Malayalam sentence and English sentence. In Malayalam we use SOV pattern, whereas in English we use a subject verb object pattern. And I explained 4 kinds of sentences. One is assertive. Assertive means any type of simple sentences can be called assertive. You know what is simple sentence? A sentence which has one subject and one predicate. And it has got 2 division. One is positive and the other is negative. And the second one imperative. What is imperative? Which expresses command, request, prayer, etc. And the third one interrogative. Interrogative means the question sentences. And there are 2 types of question sentences, yes or no questions and WH questions. And just now, I already explained the exclamatory sentences. My students, I shall summarize what we took today. And at the beginning of the class, I already told you about a sentence. Sentence is a group of words and which will give you some meaning. And I give you the example like Rama killed a snake, something like that. And a sentence, it has got 2 parts. It has got 2 divisions. One is subject and the other is predicate. And I also told you subject has got 2 divisions, singular and plural. And when you come to the second part of the sentence, that is predicate, it has got 2 divisions, verb and object. And sentence can be classified into 4 divisions. The first one is assertive sentences. It has got another name, declarative sentences. What is assertive sentence? Any simple sentence can be called assertive. Simple sentence means a sentence which has one subject and one predicate. And the second one is imperative sentence. What is imperative sentence? Which expresses command, request, prayer, etc. And the third one is interrogative sentences. And it has got 2 divisions, yes or no questions and WH questions. And the last one, the fourth one, exclamatory sentences, which expresses the sudden emotions or feelings of the speaker. Okay? And next class I shall take time and tense. That is the topic which we want to deal in the next class. Okay? Thank you.
5Co Academy, first floor, PV Complex, Civil Line Road, West Fort, Thrissur. Phone 9946 999 460, 9946 999 461.